All right, so I'll get started. Maybe as a quick starting point, how many of you folks have heard about ether.fi? Show of hands. Cool. All right, that's great. How many of you used ether.fi? Oh wow, almost as many. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for being customers. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about what ether.fi does, but we'll get into that maybe a bit later. Maybe just by way of introduction. As part of our very first Series A pitch, we had this thesis that we could use liquid staking as a category to bootstrap into a much broader platform. And that's basically what we've been building towards. And that platform is essentially a crypto-native neobank with a category that we're calling the DeFi bank, which is not a bank, but a credible alternative to a bank. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it before talking about some of this other stuff. Okay, so let's ask a question. How big is DeFi in the sense of how much revenue do some of the top DeFi protocols generate? Now, this is a bit of a murky question because in crypto, things like revenue, you can define it in lots of different ways. And what exactly is DeFi? Certain projects, if you squint, they're DeFi. If you don't. But let's just, broadly take a look at what this category looks like. If you look at some of the largest DeFi protocols, just sort, DeFi Llama by TVL or by revenues would probably be pretty similar. You get, these projects that have revenues reported. Aave, obviously blue chip project. The last number on DeFi Llama happens to be around 66 million. I think it's fluctuating, annualized between 60 to 100 million a year. Same with Lido, pretty meaningful project. Maker or now Sky, significant revenues, almost 200 million a year. I think at one point annualized, there was almost 500 million a year. So, tons of revenue. ether.fi doing pretty well. The last year we ended up around 26 million. This year we'll probably do around 50 to 100. Kind of depends on a bunch of factors. So pretty meaningful size revenue companies. That you can look at sort of the broader world of DeFi. Maybe if you look at something like Hyperliquid, is that really DeFi? Or something like Pump Fund, again, in the same kind of question. But these are the sort of the size of projects that you have at the top of the list in the DeFi world. Okay, that's pretty impressive. And then there's Zendesk. Zendesk, I'm sure, I assume most of you maybe have heard of Zendesk. Random, early 2000s help desk software, does about $1.5 billion in revenue a year, valued at $10 billion as of their last acquisition. So DeFi looks impressive, after whatever it's been, 10, 15 years of crypto. But then you look at, again, fairly random company, one of many thousands like it, that really, represents probably 5 times the revenue and valuation, enterprise value of, all of DeFi combined. That's what it suggests, at least in my mind, is there's a lot of room to grow. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to build projects, protocols, businesses, whatever you want to call them, that actually generate pretty meaningful revenues. And I would actually go further and say that we need to really focus on that kind of domain so that crypto ends up ultimately being taken seriously. We have to actually focus on building products that people can use, meaning build products that you can charge dollars for in exchange for goods and services that you provide, and then build businesses that are ultimately valuable. I would actually go further and say that basically the only chance for Ethereum or really any smart contract platform to succeed is if we do in fact build projects that actually generate substantial exogenous revenues rather than just recycling the same sort of capital that's been in crypto for the last whatever many years, sort of propped up by ETFs and external money entering the system. And so that's really from the very beginning what ether.fi's mission was. Our goal was to start with sort of a blue chip DeFi category in the world of liquid staking and expand outward from that into something that could create a substantial business that, that demonstrates that it's possible to build businesses that drive billions of dollars in revenue on DeFi, on crypto native rails. So the category that I mentioned that we're going after is the broadly called the neobank space. The neobank category, you can measure it lots of different ways, but as of 2024, about $150 billion of market size available up for grabs. If any company takes, and companies in this category, Revolut, Nubank, Chime, there's probably hundreds at this point that are out there. If any company in crypto gets to the scale of any of these major players that are in the neobank space, I really think that will, first of all, prove that it's possible, and second of all, will really transform what the space is about. Over time, you can see the gambly stuff has gotten us to a couple $100 million in revenue and utility. The real stuff, the utility that you can generate by building products for customers, can get us to tens, hundreds of billions of dollars, literally multiple orders of magnitude of growth. And that's what I would say we all should strive for. And so that's what ether.fi is doing. We started with our first product, ether.fi Stake. We were able to grow that to, depending on the price of ETH that day, about $5 billion in TVL. We then launched our next product called ether.fi Liquid, which allows you to deposit into DeFi strategy vaults that let you automate your yield farming across DeFi. And then finally, we launched ether.fi Cash, which allows you to actually hold your crypto and spend it via an attached credit card. So it's basically a non-custodial wallet and a credit card attached. We've had a pretty good run. I would say our DeFi llama chart looks pretty healthy relative to pretty much anything else that's out there. We're one of the most widely used protocols in crypto as far as DeFi integrations. I think probably about 400 integrations and counting. And as of Thursday, we launched this, to public signups, this DeFi bank concept that I mentioned. And we actually make money. As not only do we generate revenues, we actually generated net income. We had our first analyst call yesterday. I don't know what day it is. We had our first analyst call yesterday where we talked about our historical revenues, what we're expecting to happen this year. And it's very exciting to be able to look at something that we genuinely believe can scale to the billions of dollars in revenues, and doing it not, again, by recycling the same sort of gambling money, but by actually creating value for customers. And so that's it. This is my call to action. It's time to build, and I hope you guys will join us.